The hardest thing that I've experienced in my life is the duality of expectation for men. We are expected to be strong and stable and a foundation to build on and never express emotions that may present some type of weakness or some type of frailty and inspire people. Whereas there's that side of us that needs comforting. It needs that softness, somewhere to go that feels safe.
Welcome to another episode of The Man Space. My co-host Kumle and I are delighted and honored week after week to feature different gentlemen from different parts of the world with different walks of life to share their stories, to share their experiences, to share their success and their traumas. Because just like women, men too go through all of this in all its glory and come out of the other end, needing to be supported, needing to be empowered, and needing to belong in a community. And the man space is always, always about creating that space and place of safety and harmony where we create that support system without judgment and we show up for one another. And people say, how come, Kas, you're the woman on the man show? It's going to take women allies for men to get there, the same way we needed men allies for women's empowerment. So it is also a call to action for women who are mothers, wives, sisters, friends. Step up and become allies, because the world and the way society is shifting, we're putting men in places where they have no place to turn. And just because men of a certain era did certain things doesn't mean we have to walk away from men today who are going through what they're going through. So how do we show up in our humanity? How do we support our brothers, our fathers, our husbands, our friends? And be that ally is an equally important conversation. And today, to have this man space conversation with us is Micah. Micah, welcome, joining us from the Buffalo, New York area. Welcome to the man space, Micah.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. So as we get started, I want you to remember Micah is a creative spirit. He's an artist. And what that literally tells us is it's also a sensitive soul, right? So when you're creative and you are an artist and you're sensitive, then you experience the world a little differently than the traditional masculine energy. And that brings a whole host of different challenges in a world where it compartmentalizes men a certain way and only one way. So as we get started, what would you like to share with the man space community in terms of what does it mean in being a creative, being who you are, and authentically being in your space and
Mm,
dealing with the world that is so compartmentalizing and so rigid?
mm. The hardest thing that I've experienced in my life is the duality of expectation for men. We are expected to be strong and stable and a foundation to build on and never express emotions that may present some type of weakness or some type of frailty and inspire people. Whereas there's that side of us that needs comforting. It needs that softness, somewhere to go that feels safe. And if it's not at home, then where is it?
Mm. Wow. Wow. That sounds so great, Micah. And I really find something so so in what you said, I mean, which talks about, being real with oneself, leaving states whereby, as Dr. Kas mentioned in the introduction, where men had been somehow stereotyped, behave, they should um, not talk about their emotions. But I have seen you based.
We're going to wait to see if he can come back in. I will edit this out, Micah.
Yeah, signal sometimes cuts out.
Yeah. And internationally, sometimes it's difficult for consistency.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. It is difficult sometimes.
Mm-hmm. He might also not be in his home. He's dressed. There he is. Okay. I'll edit this out, Kunle. You'll restate because you were breaking up.
Yes.
Start like you're
Yeah.
starting for
So,
the fifth time.
okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mike. That was so aptly put by you.
Oh, you have to hit
And
the record
I
button.
can, yeah, and I can sense that that realness in you, the fact that you are willing to show up. And I want you to talk to us about how you find that inner strength, that motivation to express yourself, express your feeling. And I think that is what is lacking in most men nowadays, whereby they have been stereotyped based on whatever social construct they have grown with in a society. And that is one of the things the man's space is really trying as much as possible to do, to make our men find their expression and show up and be real to themselves. How did you find this realness, and how did you interact with your world without any fear of being judged?
Hmm. The the hardest thing for me was the fact that uh, I was alone when I needed love in my darkest point in my life, and I received no support or love from family or friends. So I was presented with a choice, and I'm sure everybody can relate when they get to a very low point and they have nobody there. Uh, you can either pull yourself back up or um, pull the ripcord, so to speak, and leave the planet. It wasn't an option for me because I have a daughter that I love, and it made it easy. I just had to decide. I don't I don't concern myself with what anybody thinks or feels about me or what I'm doing, and I'm going to do whatever it takes.
Mhm. So that is amazing that your daughter anchors you and she gives you that purpose. And you need to be her dad and that man in her life because daughters are taught by fathers boundaries and what to accept and what a relationship with the male gender looks like for the rest of her life. So I'm so glad to hear that that is an important aspect for you. How are you doing today? And what does support system looks like for you today? And what can we as the man space community bring to support you? What does that look like? And how can we be in service to each other?
Well, at the moment, my support is just connection. I feel that that's the most important thing that we need to do. Um, I've been alone in this spot for almost 2 years now, and I can't go anywhere because of my situation financially. So I create and connect with anybody I can. And I feel that if I can connect with people in the man space and share my story with them and what I do on a daily basis, that helps bring me back from my own negative thought cycles or my own self doubt and fear, then maybe it will help inspire them, anybody that's listening.
Oh, sounds good, Micah, because there is no limit to what we can achieve through the power of connection, the power of networking. I mean, it opens us to a space or an orbit of limitless possibilities when we come together, when we rub off on each other. And that is what makes our society tick, or what makes it great, because what one person can do, two people can do in multiples. And that speaks, I mean, volumes about your person. If you had chosen something else, but you chose to choose connection because you know the importance of how it can scale up a lot of things that you need to do. And for the people who are watching the man space right now, they might be asking, because we know that you have a book out there. I want you to talk to us about this book, what you intend to achieve with the book, and then what does the book intend to solve, in the world generally.
Okay. The book Evolution Then Revolution is a concept that I use to describe my own process of how I transmute my own pain and trauma. And I look at it like, if we can push ourselves with love, then we can evolve and revolt against our old self or our old ways. So what I did was wrote a very short, simple process that's easy to follow, because that was my main concern, was making it as simple and short and to the point as possible and relatable to everybody. So it doesn't involve anything complicated. It's simply using your mind and reconnecting with nature and God and creation, and doing these things every single day, questioning where your pain comes from, what the source of your pain is, reflection. And this process I had to do every single day for the last 2 years in order to dissect myself and burn away layers, in order to break away from this ceiling that I created for myself when I was young, of limitless or limited beliefs in myself. And that's what I want to give everyone. I want to give everyone this process that I've created that works for me, and maybe it will work for them. It's nothing involving drugs, nothing involving long, in-depth analysis or anything like that. It's simply just using your mind. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing about your book, Micah. What we are going to do is make sure the link to the book is available when we release this, and people are able to go and buy, and we are going to promote your book, and we're going to make sure the community knows that it is available. What are the other ways we can support you as an artist? What kind of creative work do you do? And what are the ways in which people can see your work, hire you, engage with you? Because that is part of it, right? When you go through these traumas, you need to reinvent yourself and come back out guns blazing to get back on your feet.
Yeah, I agree. For myself, I have done graphic art for logos and marketing for companies. I've done video editing. I've done music. I've done, let's see, audio recording, audio editing. I've done voiceover stuff. Um, I do like to do voices and stuff, so it's like something that I just enjoy. As far as any other art, I can write. I've written a lot of work. I've written a film that I turned into a graphic novel, which I give away for free for now until I publish it. It's called The Silent Scream. It's a superhero genre that I kind of transformed into focusing on trauma and showing that regular folk can become superheroes, which is a sci-fi sci-fi, horror, and psych. It's basically a combination of the superhero genre and the horror genre. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I pretty much have created any aspect of art uh, that you can apply to business. I dive into it.
Wow, that sounds so great, Micah. I mean, you're doing wonderful stuff. So because I was just speaking some of the things you were sharing that you do, and they are great stuff. Graphic designing, art, and I mean, when you mentioned music, I mean, it was also a music to my ears because I love music as well. Voiceover and all the rest. So these are the things that I know a lot of people will need your service for, because we are living in a world today where all of these things that you are mentioned are ingredients of content creation and even ingredients of development in every society, be it the larger society or the micro society. So they are the things that people will need, and it will be a great pleasure if they reach out to you. I want you to put out there how people can get hold of you in terms of reaching you personally to engage with you and get your services, Micah.
Okay. You can connect with me on LinkedIn on, for Micah. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, and I also have a YouTube channel for my uh, nonprofit foundation called All Range Combat, which I focus on just sharing an education of artists, basically any subject that artists need to project the platform on. That's what its goal is. So I'm available on most social medias.
If you had a piece of advice for men who are going through trauma, what would you draw from that to advise them, and what advice would you have for them?
That's the one thing I always have to try to remind myself is to pause. Pause in the moment of frustration or pain or anything that you feel that's triggering you. And if you can pause in that moment and breathe, then you're already ahead. Once you can breathe enough to bring yourself back to a calm state, then you can start really figuring out where this pain is coming from. Because from my own experience, anytime an external stimulus caused an internal pain, it wasn't because of the external stimulus. It was because of a memory of some type of pain that I experienced in the past. And it's just resurfacing. So that's the first thing I would suggest to anybody that is struggling. And if they are in that dark place, redirect your thoughts. Just get up, do something else, redirect yourself. That's the first thing you need to do.
Wow, sounds so good, Micah. I mean, I need for somebody who is watching also to pause, just pause and rewind back, listen to that again, because it's so powerful. When you pause in the midst of the overwhelming things that are happening, the barrage of emotions that are flooding our minds sometimes, we need to, take it a little bit slower than usual, pause to recharge and get ourselves back into that space where we can function properly, reconnect with ourselves. And I think everybody needs that. And you are absolutely spot on that. And I really want to say, and we've learned a lot from you today. And I will hand over to Dr. Kaz as we wrap up this episode.
Thank you so much. Micah, it has been an absolute honor. And thank you. Your gentleness and the calmness comes through, but at the same time, what you're dealing with is also clearly coming through. So we are here supporting you, lifting you up, and letting you know that there is a community here, individually and collectively. We are here for one another. That is the entire purpose of the man's space. And we have good men and strong allies who are women, with the notion that it's only together we get through. It's only together by lifting each other up we get past our traumas, and it's only together we heal. We don't get hurt alone and we can't heal alone, right? But we need to heal with people who didn't hurt us, because the people who hurt us are not the place we go to heal. So as we all take this journey, thank you for reminding us. Thank you for showing up in a way that in spite of our trauma, we can all stay calm and we can pause. And a general message to all women out there, be gentle and sensitive. No matter how macho the guys are, there is still those feelings and they can get hurt. And for the men out there, don't cover up. Don't pretend it doesn't exist, because what we don't deal with somehow surfaces, and it deals with us if we won't deal with it.
Mm.
And that is an important reminder as we bring this valuable man space conversation together. Please tune in, join us week after week, support the men who are here talking and helping us bring nuances and insight to the man space community. And let's together be the difference.